Good morning. Hey. My name is Sunny, and I am the minister here at Belingham Unitarian Fellowship, affectionately known as Buff around here. My pronouns are she and her, and my visual descriptors are that I am a white woman in my late 40s with fair skin and red hair, usually wearing reading glasses up here. And I am wearing a white blouse with black shawl and black pants. You may hear folks from this podium use visual descriptors, and we do this to help those among us who are experiencing some type of sight or visual impairment. We are so glad that you are here with us this morning, either in this sanctuary or online. Like the chorus of the familiar song from our gray hymnal that says, "Come, come, whoever you are, we are so happy you are here." And I will mention that the homepage of our brand new website is boldly emblazoned with those same words, "Come, come, whoever you are." That website will debut this week. Thanks to the, yes. Thanks to the very hard work of buffsters like Annie Sorich primarily, but also Doug Branson and Carl Meyer and others. Reverend Tessie and I have been really excited planning today's service where we will be celebrating Imbolc. Imbolc is a holiday on the Celtic Wheel of the year recognizing an earth cycle. And in honor of this, we are using today a more earthy chalice. Thank you, Lisa Moss and Tessie, for getting our altar ready for today's service in such a beautiful way. The ancient holiday of Imbolc also is closely associated with the Celtic goddess Brigid. And so we'll be calling upon and honoring her today as well. But before we do that, we have a few announcements and a special testimonial from Anne Lackland. So just a quick note, there are a lot of announcements in your order of service. I encourage you to check out that insert for everything. But as a highlight, next Sunday after the service will be our third Sunday potluck. Please bring a dish. And we've extended the deadline for submitting those videos sharing something that you love about Buff that we're going to put into a montage for the stewardship kickoff event. Just look in the insert for instructions on how to get those videos to Erica Mullen, who will be compiling them with her husband. And now, Anne Lackland will share a little about her connection to Buff, how she gives of her time, talent, and treasure here, and her work with the Buff Women's Retreat.
Good morning. My name is Anne Lackland. My pronouns are she, her, ella, which is she in Espanol. And I'm a short, brown, curly-haired, blue-eyed woman in my 50s, wearing maroon pants, a gray sweater, and maroon and gray scarf. I have been part of Buff since the late 1990s, when I arrived in Belingham, a born and raised Seattleite, a newly hired Spanish teacher at Ferndale High School, and with my then partner, now former husband, in tow, searching for community. From the beginning, Buff has been the place where I didn't have to be on in front of others like I was all week with teenagers. It's where I've been to come to recharge, find inspiration, support, friendship, and gradually learn to be more comfortable with my own vulnerability. Over the years, I've had the chance to co-lead the high school group, serve on the board nominating committee, teach spirit play back when it was in RE or religious education downstairs and then upstairs, sing in the choir, help with many events, host dinners, support auctions, and remain a part of a women's ritual group that began when my daughter was born 23 years ago. My daughter, Livy Lackland Henry, talented and strong, was truly raised here. From her child dedication as an infant, right over there, through coming of age and OWL, the sex education class Our Whole Lives, her attendance planned before she was even born, to her coming home one day as a high school junior, announcing she'd first gotten her first paid job at Buff as the staff setting up and cleaning up coffee hour downstairs. The annual Buff Women's Retreat, however, has been the constant in my life here since before Livy was born. A fond memory from one of my first retreats was creating and performing Lady Buff rap on the Saturday night no talent show with a few other women while fulfilling my teenage dream of being a backup hip-hop dancer. Still is. In my early years of motherhood, it was the one space where I felt I could step away, take time for myself, and trust that I would return more grounded and whole. Over time, the retreat became my safe place, my space to rest, connect more deeply, to explore new edges of growth, and to witness, share the wisdom, creativity, and lived experiences of the remarkable women around me. Looking back, I can see and trace my own life transitions, ups and downs, through these retreat weekends. More recently, thanks to the gentle nudging of others, I realized it was time to give back to this treasured space. Last year, I joined the Retreat Planning Committee, which is now the way I serve Buff beyond my monthly pledge. It has been deeply meaningful to welcome women new to Buff, to help create this special circle of belonging, build new friendships, and learn new skills along the way. This year, the Buff Women's Retreat will be held May 15th to 17th at Camp Lutherwood. Our theme is Weaving the Web of Connection. If you're interested in sharing your talents, interests in a workshop at the retreat, please connect with us. We look forward to sharing more about this longtime Buff event in the upcoming weeks. I hope that it will too become the much needed, beloved space and community for you, as it has been for me these many years. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And now we will deepen into today's service, celebrating Imbolc. My favorite Wiccan priestess, Phyllis Carrot, writes that historically on Imbolc, the community came together to lift everyone's spirits with poetry and music, remembering that we're strongest in community. Supplies are low this time of year, but when we gather together, there's enough for everyone. Many small candles create one great light. That supplies were low in February was literally true for our ancestors, but it is also metaphorically true in our current moment. Supplies of inspiration and resilience are low after months of unbelievable headlines and unprecedented events in our nation and in our world. So let us gather together today, remembering that we're strongest in community. Let us bring together our waning candle flames to create one great light. Now I invite you to settle in, put your phone into worship mode, and open to an experience today that we hope will nourish both mind and body, head and heart.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Tessie Mandeville. I'm one of the affiliated ministers here at Buff, and my pronouns are she and her. As for my visual descriptors, I am white. I am mid-50s, so I think that puts me a little past middle age now. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. I am of average height, and I am above average weight, according to those mean and very unscientific BMI charts. I am wearing black pants and a long maroon blazer, and I'm sporting a new asymmetrical haircut. All right. It is my pleasure and privilege once again to be serving as co-worship leader with our new minister, Sonny Joy McMillan, who's been here with us for just a little over 4 months now. And I know that we are enjoying getting to know her and that she's enjoying getting to know us. And Valentine's Day is coming up, so I'm just going to tell you that I love her already. Our service today embodies a lot of beautiful elements. As Sonny Joy was saying, we are celebrating Imbolc, a holiday on the Celtic year, halfway point between winter solstice and the spring equinox. And the word Imbolc means in the belly. And it is a reference to fertility and new beginnings and emerging. Because of its Celtic roots, Imbolc is closely associated with the Celtic goddess Brigid. And Brigid is often depicted with red hair, and she's known for both her fiery fierceness and deep kindness. So Jeff is going to show you a picture of Brigid. Oh, is that not her? You can see how I got them confused, what with their fiery red hair and all, and their deep kindness. But here's a depiction of the real goddess in the Celtic imagination. Because in that Celtic imagination, Brigid is the first sign of life after long, dark nights of winter. She breathes into the landscape so that it begins to awaken. Snowdrops, the first flowers of spring, are one of her symbols. Winter roses are also associated with Brigid. So thanks to Lisa Moss, we have the winter roses and the snowdrops here on our altar. And early Celtic celebrations included lighting fires to warm the frozen land, hanging four-cornered crosses above doorways to bless and protect the home, and practicing weather divination as to predict the future. As for divining the weather, the ancient Celts would listen for a lark to sing. So thank you to Melanie for playing the prelude about a lark in the clear air. They'd listen for that lark to sing on Imbolc, and if they heard the bird, it meant that the god had returned to the goddess and spring would be early. Our very own Groundhog Day is similar to this practice. On February 2nd, we look to Punxsutawney Phil, the beloved groundhog, to come out and let us know whether he's going to see his shadow, because if he sees his shadow, we're in for more winter. But if he doesn't, then we get an early spring. So most of us probably know that Phil saw his shadow, so we're in for more winter. But I suspect most of us already knew that anyway. And in the 5th century, there was a holy woman named Brigid who had many of the same gifts associated with the goddess. And this Brigid was also associated with many miracles. So there's one in particular I thought you'd want to know about, because depending on your tastes, you could say that she one-upped Jesus himself, because the stories tell us that Jesus turned water into wine, but Brigid turned water into beer. So perhaps Belingham needs its patron saint to be Brigid. But like many pagan customs, the goddess Brigid was adopted by the Christian church in the Middle Ages and was canonized as Saint Brigid of Kildare. And her feast day is February 1st. So in honor of Brigid, who is both goddess and saint, we have a healing ritual a little bit later in the service that we'd love for you to participate in as you are comfortable doing so. The choir is going to be singing a beautiful song called Dance of the Willow. And we're going to explore two main questions today. What needs healing in you? And what's emerging in you? The ancient Celts had a keen understanding of nature and beautifully complex spiritual beliefs. And I believe that that tracks for most of us Unitarian Universalists. So I anticipate that we are going to have a great time today, pausing together at midwinter, celebrating Imbolc and calling on the goddess Brigid. So as Sunny Joy lights our chalice this morning, please hear this poem from Eric Williams called We All Emerge. We all emerge from, dwell within, are transformed by, and called back to love. May your mind be humbled before this mystery. May your heart grow hopeful by it. May you be sustained by this love always. And now please join me in saying our covenant together. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and let's sing together number 51 in the gray hymnal, or the lyrics will be on the screen. Lady of the Seasons, Laughter.
Oh
seated.
Good morning. I'm Liz Epperson, the Director of Religious Education here at Belingham Unitarian. I am a 45-year-old white woman with dark hair, and I'm wearing some blue overalls, and I'm holding a blanket. And I want to introduce Corey. Corey is actually grown up in our RE program and has since been a steady, reliable, creative, wonderful, caring volunteer, and is going to tell our story today. But first I need to remind kids to come on up. Let's get closer if you want to for a little story time. And I could use at least 2 helpers to show everybody how we, on the fly, like to perform our stories. Right here, come on up. And I could use 1 more person. Oh, we got lots of people. All right, I'm going to pick Tristan. So we have Radia and Tristan are going to come act with us. So just give me a minute.
Okay, so my name is Corey. I use he, him, or they, them pronouns. My visual descriptor is I am a shortish 23-year-old dressed a bit like a gay hobbit. And yeah. And today I'm going to read the story of Brigid, or Brigid, and the Cursed Winter. Please excuse my pronunciation. My Irish Celtic pronunciation is okay, but not great. So, you ready? Yeah, I'm going to move you over a little bit so everyone can see. Okay. I am scooching over.
Can you say Bridget the cat?
Yes, I'm going to be the grandmother. So you'll be in at the end.
We ready?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay. Long ago, when the world was young and the seasons were still finding their rhythm, there came a winter unlike any before. The snow fell endlessly, burying the fields, the rivers, and even the doors of the people's homes. The animals, who usually found shelter in the forests, grew weak with hunger. The people, too, huddled inside, afraid that spring might never return. In a small village, a girl named Brigid refused to accept this endless winter. You see, Brigid had been born during the coldest time of the year, when the frost lay thick on the land and the rivers were hard as stone. But from the moment she arrived, there was a resilience about her, a warmth about her, and an unseen flame that never went out. She had always been close to the earth. She knew where to find herbs to heal the sick, how to call birds down from the sky with just a sweet whistle from her lips. Brigid listened to the whispers of the trees, the murmurs of the rivers, and the quiet secrets of the fire. While others despaired, she wandered to the frozen woods, seeking her answers. Deep in the forest, she came upon an old woman wrapped in a tattered gray robes, stirring a pot over a weak fire. Her hair was as white as the snow, and her fingers were gnarled like the twisted branches of the winter tree. "You have come far, child," the woman said, her voice cracking like ice. "Why do you wander in this cursed cold?" Brigid bowed respectfully. "I seek to know why winter does not end. The earth sleeps, but it does not wake. The people suffer. The animals grow weak. Tell me, grandmother, what can be done?" The old woman narrowed her eyes. "The cold lingers because the kaya, the winter hag, refuses to release her grip. She hoards the fire of spring, hiding it in her mountain cave, letting no warmth return to the land." Brigid's heart burned like an ember. She could not let winter rule forever. So she set off towards the mountain, climbing through thick drifts of snow, bracing against the howling wind. At last, she came to the cave of the Kayach, where great icicles hung like spears from the ceiling. In the center of the cave, a small fire burned low, barely flickering. "Who dares enter my domain?" the Kayach's voice boomed, echoing off the frozen walls. Her skin was like cracked stone, her eyes sharp as a falcon. I am Brigid, the girl declared, standing tall despite the cold. "I have come to bring back the fire of the spring." The Kayach laughed, a sound like breaking ice. "You, a mere girl. The fire is mine. The world belongs to winter." But Brigid did not waver. She knelt before the fire and cupped her hands around it, whispering a blessing. The ember within the flame pulsed, as if recognizing her voice. She blew gently, feeding it with her breath, her warmth, her courage. The fire flared, glowing brighter. The ice walls trembled. The Kayach let out a cry as the warmth spread, melting the frost from the cave walls, loosening the winter's grip. Seeing she could not win, the Kayach shrank back, retreating into the shadows. Brigid gathered the flame and carried it back down the mountain. As she walked, the snow began to soften, the rivers began to flow, and the first green shoots pushed through the earth. The people rejoiced, for they knew the balance had been restored. From that day on, Brigid was honored as the keeper of the flame, a guardian of warmth, renewal, and the turning of the seasons. And so, each year at Imbolc, people light candles in her name, remembering that even in the coldest times, the fire of life and hope cannot be extinguished. And now we're going to sing our children upstairs. And I'm going to ask our kiddos, please, to make sure that there are no tripping hazards, because we do have the choir, and we got to make sure nobody trips.
Goddess Brigid was associated with the element of fire, with that blazing red hair and fierceness, but she was equally known for her gifts of healing. As the story goes, in the 5th century, the holy woman Brigid needed land on which to build a monastery, and she went to the king and made the request. And the king was rather amused by the request, but noticing the cloak that she was wearing, he said to her, "I will give you as much land as your cloak will cover." And he smiled, thinking confidently that it wouldn't amount to much. Brigid had 4 friends with her, and she asked each of the friends to take a corner and to walk in those directions. And as they walked, that cloak grew bigger and bigger and covered more and more land, and the king was astonished. But he kept his word, and he gave them land to build a monastery where to this day there is an eternal flame that they keep lit for her. So in honor of the miracle of that cloak, on the eve of St. Brigid's Day, it was customary to leave a piece of cloth or ribbon outside the house. It was believed that Brigid's spirit traveled across the land and left her healing power in the cloth. And people then wore that cloth, or they held it close throughout the year whenever they were in need of particular healing. And each person got to name what it was that they needed healing for. And so that's the invitation for us today as we meditate on the question, what needs healing in you? To those here in the sanctuary, you chose a piece of fabric as you entered the sanctuary. My mother-in-law, Wanda McGlasson, is a fabulous quilter, and she let me raid her stash. Thank you. So she's very happy to share these pieces of quilt with you, pieces of fabric today with you. But I invite you to hold that fabric in your hands. And for our friends on Zoom, we do not forget about you. We're always glad that you're with us. And so you're going to see a beautiful piece of quilt art by Buff member Liz Copeland that to me looks like pieces of fabric floating in water. And it is in fact called Under the Sea. And I chose it for today because Brigid is also associated with the element of water. And there are Brigid wells all over Ireland where people make pilgrimage. And they call upon Brigid to, as they touch that water, they name their healing. And they call upon her strength, her power. And so for our friends on Zoom, I invite you, as you're able and willing, you could reach out and touch the screen, touching that water. You could also gaze softly at it if that feels more comfortable. For folks here in the sanctuary, I believe you can see that art as well. So you have options too. You can hold the fabric, look at the water. As Melanie begins to play softly, I invite all of us and all of you to make this time what it is you need it to be. And if you're comfortable closing your eyes, please do so. Legend tells us that the goddess can cross thresholds of time and space. And so we invite Brigid's spirit and healing powers into our ritual today. And we ask you, Brigid, to infuse this cloth we hold, or this water we look upon. Infuse it with your healing touch and energy. May it mend, may it bless, may it bring forth our wellness and our wholeness, however it is that we define that for ourselves. Our wellness, our wholeness. needs healing in you? I imagine for most of us, there is more than one thing. There is so much, too much, happening all around us and within us. And some days it's hard to know what we need or what to even ask for. And it's so easy for our nervous systems to live in a constant state of overwhelm right now. So I think that's where we need to start, breathing together. And another. Let's gently do the best we can to be in our bodies right here, right now. This flesh and blood, this body that travels with us wherever we go, this body that absorbs so much and keeps finding ways to support us. This body that is both strong and vulnerable, fierce and fragile. In these bodies, we can hold a lot of truths and stories at one time. We can hold the paradox that the light is returning even as the darkness feels heavy and winter is still brutally cold in many places. We can both tenderly name what needs healing in us and honor the new life that is already emerging from within us. As you hold the cloth in your hand, or as you touch the art on the screen, you are welcome to name silently the healing that you're needing in your heart, your mind, your body, your soul. Healing in here brings healing out there. Do you hear what I'm saying? Healing in here brings healing out there. Healing in here helps us stay human. Healing in here makes us present to the work that is ours to do in the world. And healing supports our emerging. So in the days ahead, whenever we look at this fabric and hold it in our hands, or come upon a body of water, may it be a reminder of this moment in time with the spirit and healing power of Brigid and community together, reminding ourselves of the hope for healing, our ability, our strength to hold paradox, and the longing that we have for wholeness in ourselves, for all beings, and for Mother Earth herself. So with gratitude to the Goddess, to the Saint Brigid in all her forms, we say thank you, and also with a profound belief in our collective power. Let it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Around the turn of the first millennium of the Common Era, a group of women tended a perpetual fire at St. Brigid's Fire Temple in Kildare, Ireland. For countless generations, these women had tended the fire. It was said to burn pure and clean. Legend has it that over centuries, this fire never left a trace of ash. There were 19 women in the group, and each day, for 19 days, one of the women was assigned to care for the fire, providing it fuel and fanning its flames. On the 20th day, however, the women walked away, leaving the fire in the hands of St. Brigid. They reportedly prayed, "Brigid, this is your fire, and it is your turn to tend it." Each and every time the women returned on the 21st morning, they found the fire burning brightly. This sacred site spent 12 centuries as a Christian shrine, from about the 5th to the 17th century CE, but there is evidence to suggest it existed in Ireland long before the arrival of Christianity, that it first served as a temple to the goddess Brigid for 2,000 years under Celtic guardianship. The late scholar of mythology and women's spirituality at DePaul University, Dr. Patricia Monahan, reports that many believe it was originally a goddess temple whose rites were taken over by the nuns who replaced the ancient priestesses. That the pagan goddess Brigid would become the Christian Saint Brigid is no big surprise in a place like Ireland. As Dr. Monahan explains it, paganism and Catholicism in Ireland are joined twins that cannot be separated. This joining is in part because Christianity arrived in Ireland with less violence and destruction than elsewhere in Europe. According to Monahan, in Ireland, pagan ways and Christian beliefs would form an extraordinary symbiosis. And now, paganism and Christianity in Ireland need each other to live. And nowhere is this more clear than in the figure of Brigid, goddess and saint, whose sanctuary under a vast spreading oak was a temple in Celtic times, a convent in Christian times, and today is a gathering place for those committed to bridging the chasm between Ireland's Catholics and Protestants, between pagans and Christians, between men and women. That this sacred site is today a gathering place, and in fact, the most famous Brigid site in Ireland is a bit of a miracle. Because, quote, in 1632, after 1,200 years of continued ritual observance, the sacred fire was extinguished by a man who disdained not only its pagan, but also its Catholic meaning. The nuns were dispersed, and the long surviving rituals to Brigid, as a goddess and a saint, came to an end in Kildare. The extinguishing of Brigid's immortal flame in 1632 feels symbolic of the larger patriarchal effort, ongoing for centuries, to erase the feminine from all that was sacred and holy. We see it in the Bible, where the oral legends that preceded Moses and spoke of God's wife, Asherah, queen of heaven, never made it onto papyrus. We see it in the Christian Testament, where ancient scriptures written by and for women, like the Gospel of Mary and the Acts of Paul and Thecla, never made it into the canon. As a result, these and so many other Orthodox faith traditions slowly but surely separated us from the goddess, from the great mother once revered by our ancestors in the Upper Paleolithic period, who left statues of this mother scattered across Central Europe. There are many who believe that such separation has left us in dire straits with dire consequences. Former Zen Buddhist monk Clark Strand and his eco-feminist wife, Perdita Finn, write that we, humans disconnected from nature, humans living pedal-to-the-metal lives, humans consuming to the point of excess, we are broken. We are broken because we have, quote, fallen out of intimacy with our mother, with the planet, and with our own lives, in exactly that order. But here's the thing. You can write her out of Scripture, you can douse her flame, but she persists. She was always there, this great mother who goes by so many names in so many traditions, Brigid, Danu, and Mary in Ireland alone, and across the globe, Asherah, Isis, Inanna, Sybil, Freya, Pachamama, Sophia, Avalokiteshvara, Shekinah, Tara, Tanansin, Guadalupe, Kali Ma. Of this mother before all mothers, the eternal womb of all creation, Clark Strand and Perdita Finn write that she is, quote, as real as the dirt and the darkness and the space between stars. She is the mater in all matter, the body of all existence. No wonder people see her face in the trunks of trees, her form in the roundness of stones. And so it is also no wonder that in 1993, several hundred years after Brigid's flame was doused, on an altar in a simple home in Kildare, Ireland, just blocks from where Brigid's original fire temple once stood, Brigid's flame was lit once again. As Patricia Monahan recounts the story, it was a curiously undramatic affair. After having been dispersed in 1632 when the flame was doused, the Sisters of St. Brigid disappeared until the Bishop of Kerry revived the ancient sisterhood in 1880 as a missionary order. And then in 1992, 18 generations after they had been banished from Kildare, they returned. For the sisters who returned to their original ancient sister center, their arrival was not accompanied by fanfare or pomp and circumstance. Just a few sisters dedicated to service and hoping to provide support and aid in this small town now plagued by economic and social upheaval, violence, unemployment, and discrimination against immigrants. It was not their intent to become the site of a movement, an international Brigid revival, but that was the impact. Not too long after the sisters arrived back in Kildare in the early 1990s, the wheel of the year made its turn to February 1st, Imbolc, and the feast day of St. Brigid. The sisters decided to honor the occasion, and as Monahan tells it, one of the sisters lit a candle in commemoration of the sisterhood's ancient fire. Then, with song and poetry, the nuns and their friends celebrated the coming of springtime. When the service was over and the ritual area was being tidied, someone leaned over to blow out the candle. A local man, struck by the import of what had occurred on that Imbolc Eve in 1993, cried out in protest. Brigid's sacred flame had been relit, and it would not be extinguished. Monahan made a pilgrimage to Kildare to experience for herself this Brigid revival, this ancient flame now burning once again. Monahan said to her fellow pilgrims, who were Irish by heritage but American by birth and uprearing, that though none of them were Catholic, they each honored the goddess in their own way, whether through scholarship or creative work or ritual. Though she arrived expecting a mighty blaze, what she found instead was a small candle lit on a simple altar in an ordinary home that stood a few blocks from the original fire temple. For Monahan, however, it was, quote, the very ordinariness of both the shrine and its sacred flame that moved her so deeply. It spoke of the ancient way that knowledge is truly preserved in the mundane and often overlooked places of our world, of our souls. It hinted at the way feminine strength is found in each extraordinary, ordinary action by which we sustain our lives. It told of the deeply archetypal power to be found in even the simplest object or moment. Today, and on all days that we acknowledge and honor holidays like Imbolc, we are bringing forth ancient knowledge. Through our extraordinary, ordinary actions, we are bringing our bodies, our minds, and our spirits into rhythm with the sacred and natural world. We step into the ebb and flow of seasonal energies and solar cycles. By celebrating these ancient rites, we are reclaiming the wisdom and spiritual practices of Euro-Indigenous ancestors, pulling them forward into this present moment to meet the spiritual needs of this modern age and the ecological needs of our precious and threatened Mother Earth. These are spiritual practices that can help us identify what is emerging in us and in our world, practices that can help us cultivate and tend our own emergence, our own light in chaotic and challenging times. As Tessie said just a moment ago, healing in here helps healing out there. Emergence in here can help emergence out there. Recall that the ancient sisterhood of the Brigidines reportedly petitioned to the goddess turned saint, "Brigid, this is your fire, and it is your turn to tend it." The relighting of Brigid's flame, a flame of the divine feminine extinguished for centuries, this relighting feels symbolic. Chaos, challenges, horrors abound, but so does new life. There are still good things in the belly, as yet unseen, growing just below the surface. As old ways of being, old systems crumble, people are waking up, rising up. Each individual emergence is tied to collective emergence. It is up to us to relight and fan the flames. Your emergence, your light awaits. This is your fire, and it is your turn to tend it. And now our offertory.
I'm excited to introduce to you Suzanne Blaze. She's the interim news director at KMRE. It's the longest broadcasting public radio station in Belingham. And she's bringing some friends. I'll let her introduce them. Come on right up here by me, please. And so this radio station can be heard in Belingham and throughout Whatcom County. And they operate under the auspices of Colshan Community Media. And so Colshan Community Media is our social and environmental justice recipient. I always get that mixed up. For the month of February. And so I'm going to have Suzanne tell you a little bit more about KMRE.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tessie. And we're so grateful to be invited to come share with you a little bit about the work that we're doing at your local community radio station. My name is Suzanne Blaze. I'm here with Kai Schmolke and Robert Clark. Like Tessie said, I'm the interim news director, but I'm also on the board. We are all volunteer, nonprofit radio station. And you might wonder, why radio? And I'll tell you because the station has been around about 20 years, but about 10 years ago, there were a small handful of us who felt like we needed an opportunity to have more conversations. We needed to put the power of storytelling back in the hands of the individuals in our community. We needed to be able to talk to each other more and share more about who we actually are in this community. And so we did the crazy thing and threw a lot of energy and hope and love into it. Today, part of our mission is to amplify underheard and not heard voices in our community, and to really focus on local stories. I think that we do that primarily in three ways: through our programming, through our technical training, and through volunteer opportunities. Speaking from the programming perspective, one of the key ingredients that's part of our station is our news programming. We offer local, regional, and state news. We don't really talk to people about federal news on the news because they can get that somewhere else. We want to focus on the local news. And we have a 7 to 10 minute newscast that runs Monday through Friday at 3, 4, and 5 p.m., but it's also available on the website. That is created entirely by a multi-generational newsroom. So we have volunteers who are retired, we have volunteers who are young, and they all come together and create the news every single day, just based on the information that is freely available, but people don't necessarily have the time to collect. Our news is also offered free to the public outside of any paywall, and it goes everywhere throughout the county. That's important. We have begun offering Spanish language news and PSAs in Spanish as well, and that is something that no other radio station, commercial radio station, will really pay attention to. It's important for us to have other languages available to people on our channel because there are multiple languages in our community represented, and we just don't hear them. we run a series of programs, not just music. We also run programs that are either locally produced or come to us or nationally syndicate through national syndication. And so we tend to focus on specific shows with specific users in mind. So for instance, Latino USA is one of the shows that we air. We are First Voices, an indigenous focused show. We've got the Black Experience in Belingham, Retirement Talk, and This Way Out, which is focused on, created by and for LGBTQIA+ folks. And we also do a series of programs. We try to empower people, local community producers, to do their programs of interest for themselves. So for instance, we have a group of formerly homeless folks who are doing a series on what it is actually like in Bellingham and Whatcom County to be homeless and how to navigate that from their perspective. I think ultimately on the programming side, it really is about people being able to tell their stories in their own words. And that's how we know each other. That's how we understand our community better. And with that, I will turn it over to Robert, who will talk a little bit about the technical capabilities.
Hi, my name is Robert Clark, and I help with the technology. I don't want our technology to be a barrier to your success. So what we try to do is either give you the training or the guidance, or sometimes the volunteers to push the buttons and turn the knobs so that your story gets out as clearly and easily as possible. And to that end, we try to allow for all sorts of intergenerational or, I don't know, just crews of people that you would never think would work well together do work well together at our station. And how do we get those crews?
We provide a safe and inclusive environment that's fairly relaxed. So we tend to get a lot of volunteers interested, people who have like 9 to 5, then can only offer like a couple of hours, or who are retired and, hey, I need something to do. We also have internships from the local colleges who stop by. And we really want to get the community involved because it will become the community's station.
So yes, ultimately we are, our tagline is community driven. We don't exist without the community, and we exist specifically for the community, for everyone in the community. And it's wonderful being here to talk to such a community-centered organization about that very thing. Like we want to raise people's voices and amplify people's stories.
Thank you all three for being here today and for the work that you're doing in our community. So all monies that we receive today will be donated to Colshan Community Media, unless you're writing a check for your regular pledge to Buff, in which case you can put that in the memo line so that it's really clear. There's going to be a slide on the screen for here and for our folks on Zoom. For those that like to donate electronically, you'll be able to do that. And as always, thank you for your generosity. Melanie. Yes. Lovely. Thank you, Melanie. Let's all please rise in body and in spirit and sing number 298 in the gray hymnal, or the lyrics will be on the screen. Wake now my senses. We're just going to sing the first 3 verses. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit, embrace the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend. Praying and striving their hardship to end.
Our closing words come from Teresa Cooley in this time of anticipated spring. In this time of anticipated spring, let us allow ourselves to extend the anticipation, to value the time of budding before blooming, the seeding before sprouting. This is a time of revelation, the revealing of that which is eternal, which we see every year, but still need to be reminded to see it in a new way. There is also the revelation of that which is new. Every spring we encounter something never before seen. It is that very newness which embodies hope and potential for the wholeness which is yet to be. Let us allow spring to unfold slowly, that we may appreciate the true mystery of rebirth and renewal. And as Tessie extinguishes our chalice, I affirm that we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now let's circle round for freedom.